There has been a huge resurgence in vinyl recently. Over the last few years, it's popping up everywhere. A lot of artists are putting out their newest albums on the format, and you can even find brand new vinyl records at Walmart. So, what about the normal person who wants to listen to their vinyl records, but doesn't want to buy the hilariously cheap and terrible stuff that's available on Amazon and eBay? And maybe you can't afford a vintage deck, or you don't have a phono preamp or the equipment that needs to go with it. What if you want to find something that is good quality, that plays your records well, and won't tear them up? That's what we're going to look at today. I found this Angel's Horn model, and it looks like, according to the reviews, that it's a really, really good turntable that will take care of your records and sound great. Let's take a look at that today. Stay tuned. Now I want to start off by just taking a look around the box. Now this thing is heavy. It weighs about 22 pounds. I was kind of shocked when I picked up this box how heavy it was. So I hope that translates into good construction quality and good overall quality on this thing. Now the picture on the front of it looks really, really good. It's got two speakers that comes with it and the turntable. I'm not sure if they're wired speakers or how that works, but if we spin the box around, we can see on here, it says audiophile features. We'll check that out and see if that's the case, or if it's just a rebadged, really, really cheap product. Now, it does say bookshelf speakers, supplied speaker boxes, spacious and detailed sound. A 25mm silk dome tweeter delivers crystal clear highs, and a 100mm fiberglass cone gives full-bodied and lush mids, as well as punchy and tight bass. So they're talking up their speakers on it. Bluetooth input. It says you can connect your Bluetooth device to it and play it through the speakers. So that's kind of nice. Sounds like it'll become kind of a bookshelf unit that you can use for something else than just playing records with. And I thought this was interesting, the phono preamp. It says if you don't have a phono preamplifier in your current hi-fi setup, you'll benefit from the built-in one. But if you want to use a different phono preamp, you can easily switch it off. So that's kind of neat too. It sounds like we might be able to use this with an older amplifier that has a built-in phono preamp, or if you have a separate preamp that you like better, you can use that one as well. So far, it looks pretty promising. Let's go ahead and get the box open. All right, so getting this open, it's actually a box within a box, which was actually within a box because it came in a shipping box as well. So far, it seems like this is pretty well packed. Let's get all of our stuff out of the way here. So it looks like we have the two bookshelf speakers, which appear to be an unpowered speaker. Get those out of here. So looks like we got that box. Our instruction manual. And it looks like the turntable is down here at the bottom. Got the plastic cover. Turntable. So let's kind of get everything laid out here and we'll take a look at all of it. Figured it was easier to sit down and just go through this stuff kind of piece by piece. Now we saw the plastic or Perspex cover that came out of the box, but this is everything that was in the box that's ready for us to put together and get this thing ready to play some records. Now a couple of observations right away. It does seem to be decent build quality. The weight of the turntable itself is is pretty hefty. I mean, that's a solid piece of wood. I don't know if it's actually walnut or if that's a veneer. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's very, very thick. The tone arm on this is metal. The speakers have some heft behind them. So far, I'm pretty impressed. Now, it does come with the weight for the counterweight on the turntable here to adjust your tracking force, a 45 RPM adapter, a decent quick start guide. It's all pictures, pretty easy to understand. The thing that was probably the most impressive is the actual turntable. This is solid metal. This thing weighs a ton, and it comes with the felt pad for it too. But really a heavy platter for this. Now it does, when we put it together here in just a few minutes, it does go on this other turntable here. The bearings on that seem to be really, really good. It spins freely for a long time. Doesn't seem to be catching on anything. Same thing with the motor. So I'm going to be interested to get this together and see what it actually sounds like, because so far I'm actually kind of impressed. So let's go ahead and get this put together. They say the belt just goes around here, then turn it a few times to center it up. We got to make sure that there's no slack in that. Make sure it's not twisted. Then the other platter goes on top of that, and then of course your felt mat on top of that. Now it is reversible. You can have it with their logo or without. But that's actually really nice so far. I'm pretty impressed. Now if we spin it around to the back, we can take a look at all of these connections back here. Now it is pretty full featured, I would say. You do have a grounding or earth connection here. For those who are familiar with phonographs, you know you need to ground those so you don't get the hum and everything come through them. You got the RCA connections for the output here. Looks like phono and line. So phono should be the internal preamp turned off, allowing you to use your own, and line level should be through their phono preamp. Looks like we've also got the DC in 15 volts, speaker connections, and a nice clicky power switch. And then these, of course, are where the cover goes onto it. I'm going to leave the cover off for now, just so that we can see a little bit better. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing hooked up, and then we'll take a closer look at all of the controls and see how this thing sounds. All right, now around back, we'll get our speakers hooked up back here. Standard spring contacts on these makes it really easy. Get those put in. Good. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look around the machine itself. And like I said before, this is a metal tone arm on this, which I thought was nice. I've seen a lot of the cheaper ones that are out nowadays that use a plastic tone arm. It feels a little bit more solid. I did notice also this does use an Audio-Technica moving magnet cartridge, so it's not using that generic Chinese cartridge that's on a lot of those cheap units. So it's an actual real phono cartridge. Now it's not a $300 one, but it is Audio-Technica, and it is one that that somebody would use on their regular phonograph even back in the day. So a nice unit so far. It does have a volume control on here, which of course would be for playing back through the speakers, and then a 3-position switch on this side, which selects between Bluetooth, 33 RPM, or 45. I'm glad that they're not trying to make this an all-in-one 78 RPM player, because we know that requires a little bit different setup on the tone arm. So they're just doing 33s and 45s, which is nice. Something else they did also include in the package, I found this as I was making sure I got everything out, is a cartridge alignment protractor, so that you can actually make sure that you have your cartridge properly aligned to the turntable. So I thought that was kind of a nice touch. Now we'll check out the tracking force and all that on this before we put a record on it. But just for now, let's go ahead and set this to Bluetooth and see if we can hook up an external source to it, see how it sounds. All right, so pairing the phone up was actually really easy. Just showed Angel's horn, I paired up to it, and life's good. It actually sounds really good. I don't know if it's going to come through, but it has really good bass reproduction, and the treble is really good as well. Nice smooth volume control on it. Okay, well, first impressions of playing anything through it is really good. The Bluetooth sounds really nice. And just a little side note, before it pairs, the blue light flashes to let you know it's in pairing mode, but now that we're paired, it's just solid blue. All right, let's go ahead and get the tracking force scale on here and get this adjusted up and play a record on it. Okay, so I've got the force gauge set up. Got it set to about 1 3/4 ounces, which from what I can find is what this Audio-Technica cartridge likes, between about 1 1/2 and 1 3/4. Looks like we're right about there. All right, and if we grab their Cartridge Alignment protractor, put it on there, we can see that that's, looks like that's spot on too. All right, it looks like we do have a soft release here too, which is nice. All right, let's go ahead and get a record put on here and we'll see what this thing actually sounds like. All right, since I do not have any albums that will not hit a copyright match, I figured I may as well at least plug a friend of mine, Patrick Cornelius. We actually went to middle school together. Very talented artist, and he just happens to have produced one of his albums on a double LP. So we will use that to play Way of the Cairns. I'm going to try to keep the snippets short. I really don't want to get taken down for a copyright strike. But all right, here we go. Now, I don't think this has an auto stop on it. Yeah, it does not have an auto stop, which is fine. I'd rather not have that and have a better quality player. Now, let's drop that midway and see what we sound like. See if it drops it on there softly. And it does. Nice soft drop onto the record. Let's do a direct capture of the audio directly into my Mo2 M2 device and see what the quality is like directly out of the machine, because it sounds really good to my ears just from the speakers. But let's give you guys a little bit better idea of what it sounds like. Yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed with this. We don't have a turntable in the house. I have one out here in the studio, and I might actually take this one and put it in the house. I think it's easy enough that my wife can use it. It sounds good. It can be used as a Bluetooth speaker as well. So I think overall, this is a really nice pick for somebody who's wanting to get into listening to records without breaking the bank. Maybe they don't have the extra equipment needed for a vintage turntable. They're not an audiophile, but they want something better than the junk that's out there. I think this is probably the ticket for that. I mean, the construction of it's really nice. It's a heavy unit. The sound quality out of the speakers actually blew me away. I didn't expect them to sound as rich as they do. The fact that it lets you use the internal phono preamp or an external one gives you a little bit more flexibility, so you don't even have to use it with the speakers if you don't want to. It'd be just a nice looking turntable otherwise. So, you know, this kind of is in keeping with the theme of the channel here, and that is, you know, the regular person who wants to listen to these vintage formats. You know, it's tough to find a good tape player nowadays, a cassette player, but it looks like there are still some nice quality turntables out there that won't break the bank. And I think this is probably one of those. Let me know what you guys think below. Is this something that you think you'd put in your living room and listen to? I know it's probably going in mine. But until next time, that's all I have. Happy listening.